धीमहि यो यो नमः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नमः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ नमो भगवते रामकृष्णाय। 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 ॐ नमो भगवती शारदा देवीये। 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 ॐ नमो भगवते रामकृष्णाय। 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 ॐ नमो भगवती शारदा देवीये। 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 ॐ नमो भगवते रामकृष्णाय। ॐ नमो भगवती शारदा देवीये। ॐ श्रीराम कृष्ण भगवान की जय। श्रीनिवासा गोविंदा श्रीराम कृष्ण गोविंदा। श्रीनिवासा गोविंदा श्रीराम कृष्ण गोविंदा। पूर्ण पुरुष गोविंदा पंडरीवासा गोविंदा। पूर्ण पुरुष गोविंदा पंडरीवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा आपत् पाण्डव गोविन्दा अनाथ रक्षक गोविन्दा आपत् पाण्डव गोविन्दा अनाथ रक्षक गोविन्दा श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा तिरुपतिवासा गोविन्दा तिरुमलैवासा गोविन्दा तिरुपतिवासा गोविन्दा तिरुमलैवासा गोविन्दा श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा गोविन्दा हरि गोविन्दा गोपाला हरि गोपाला गोविन्दा हरि गोविन्दा गोपाला हरि गोपाला श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा पूरण पुरुष गोविन्दा पंडरीवासा गोविन्दा आपत् पाण्डव गोविन्दा अनाथ रक्षक गोविन्दा श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा तिरुपतिवासा गोविन्दा तिरुमलैवासा गोविन्दा गोविन्दा हरि गोविन्दा गोपाला हरि गोपाला गोविन्दा हरि गोविन्दा गोपाला हरि गोपाला गोपाला हरि गोपाला गोपाला हरि गोपाला
गोविन्दा हरि गोविन्दा
गोपाला हरि गोपाला
गोविन्दा हरि गोविन्दा
गोपाला हरि गोपाला
गोविन्दा हरि गोविन्दा
गोपाला हरि गोपाला
श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा
श्रीनिवासा गोविन्दा श्रीरामकृष्ण गोविन्दा ॐ श्रीरामकृष्ण भगवान की जय।
ॐ जय शिव शङ्कर जय अभयङ्कर
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 साम्ब सदा शिव शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
साम्ब सदा शिव शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
साम्ब सदा शिव शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
साम्ब सदा शिव शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
जय शिव शङ्कर जय अभयङ्कर
जय शिव शङ्कर जय अभयङ्कर
जय गङ्गाधर जय बिम्बाधर
जय गङ्गाधर जय बिम्बाधर
जय गङ्गाधर जय बिम्बाधर
जय गङ्गाधर जय बिम्बाधर
वाघम्बरधर शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
वागम्बरधर शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
वाघम्बरधर शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
वागम्बरधर शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
जय शिव शङ्कर जय अभयङ्कर
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 साम्ब सदा शिव शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
साम्ब सदा शिव शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
साम्ब सदा शिव शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
साम्ब सदा शिव शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
जय शिव शङ्कर जय अभयङ्कर
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 जय गङ्गाधर जय बिम्बाधर जय गङ्गाधर जय बिम्बाधर वाघम्बरधर शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
वागम्बरधर शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
वाघम्बरधर शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे
वागम्बरधर शिव हर रे शिव हर रे शिव हर रे Om Shri Ram Krishna Bhagavan ki Jai.
अंतरती भक्ति पुकारो, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. अंतरती भक्ति पुकारो, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. दुनिया लगे छ મને અંધારો કોવો, दुनिया लगे छ મને અંધારો કોવો. ઓવામાંથી કોણ બચાવે, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. ओवाમાંથી કોણ બચાવે, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. अंतरती भक्ति पुकारो, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. अंतरती भक्ति पुकारो, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. माता पिता ने कुटुंब कबीलो, माता पिता ने कुटुंब कबीलो. अंत समय कौन बचावे, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. अंत समय कौन बचावे, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. अंतरती भक्ति पुकारो, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. अंतरती भक्ति पुकारो, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. कर्मा वचन्ति प्रभु मांगो हो एकलो, कर्मा वचन्ति प्रभु मांगो हो एकलो. भक्ति भाव उगारे, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. भक्ति भाव उगारे, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. अंतरती भक्ति पुकारो, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. अंतरती भक्ति पुकारो, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. कर्मा वचन्ति प्रभु मांगो हो एकलो, कर्मा वचन्ति प्रभु मांगो हो एकलो. भक्ति भाव उगारे, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. भक्ति भाव उगारे, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. अंतरती भक्ति पुकारो, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. अंतरती भक्ति पुकारो, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे, आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. आओ प्रभु सांझ सवारे. ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय. पवन सुत हनुमान की जय. श्री अम्बे अम्बे मात की जय. श्री कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय.
ॐ ऐं सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय श्रीरामकृष्णाय नमः. Om Namo Narayanaaya, revered Ishtaprana Mataji, respected elders and loving children. This morning's talk is on Japa and the art of concentration. Much of this talk has been taken from How to Live with God by Swami Chaitanyananda. The restless mind loves to play. One can use Japa to occupy the mind profitably. Focus the mind on holy thoughts by repeating the mantra almost 1,000 times each day. During initiation, the Guru advises the disciple to practice Japa and meditation in the morning and evening, because nature becomes calm at the junctions between night and day. It takes steadfast devotion and regular practice to make the Japa effective. It is very important to make the habit of sitting at the same times to meditate every day. Suppose that a man eats breakfast at 8 a.m., lunch at 1 p.m., and supper at 8 p.m. He has followed this routine for many years. His body is adjusted well to that routine. Similarly, if an aspirant sits for meditation at the same time every day, his or her mind will be ready for the presence of God. If there is an emergency that prevents you from sitting at that time, close your eyes and say, Lord, I am unable to meditate on you at this moment. Even this one moment of recollectedness will be sufficient. Usually, when we sit to pray, study, or read, our minds think of many other things. We are unable to focus our attention on what we are doing. It is natural for the mind to be restless. We must train our minds to concentrate on what we are doing. Our Gurujis say that there are many methods by which this can be done. We can think about any form of God that we love best, or a beautiful scenery or the qualities of God, like strength, patience, and forgiveness. We can choose a picture and observe it carefully, then visualize this form in our hearts. Practice this daily, and in time, our concentration will improve. Here is a story from the Mahabharata which teaches us how to be focused. Arjuna was one of the 5 Pandava brothers. He had great concentration. His teacher, Dronacharya, had many students. Arjuna excelled in archery. Once there was an archery contest. The challenge was to try to hit the eye of a wooden bird. All Dronacharya students participated. Arjuna's eldest brother Yudhishthira went first. He saw the sun, clouds, and the trees when he aimed at the bird, and thus he missed the target. The second student, Ashwatthama, tried. He could see the bird, the branch on which the bird sat, the mango near the bird, the leaves, and other surroundings. However, he also failed to hit the target. Thus, all the students tried but failed. Arjuna was the last to try. When asked what he could see, he replied that he saw only the eye of the bird. He did not see the tree, the branch, or even the bird. He saw nothing but the eye and hit his target. Thus, all the students tried but failed. When asked what he could see, he replied that he could see only the bird. He did not take notice of his surroundings. He saw nothing but the eye, and therefore he hit his target. This teaches us that concentration helps us to succeed. Naren loved to pray and meditate. Once, he was traveling through a beautiful forest which had many ponds. The brightly colored birds chirped happily. They passed a meadow that was covered with green grass, and dewdrops glistened in the sunlight. The trees were laden with fruit or flowers. The scenery was very beautiful. The mountain peaks almost touched each other to form a splendid arch. Naren was completely absorbed in God thought. He marveled at God's power. We often see beautiful scenes that remind us of God. Like Naren, we too can reflect on God's beauty, which helps us to meditate. When Swami Brahmananda, known as Raja Maharaj, was in Vrindavan, he took a vow that he should repeat his mantra at midnight. He later described how a holy man awakened him from sleep. Raja Maharaj relates, at that time, Swami Turyananda and I were living together and practicing japa and meditation punctually. We did not talk to each other unless it was necessary. At 8 p.m., we would eat some bread that we graciously attained by begging. Just at midnight, we would get up, and after freshening up, we would sit for meditation. One night, whilst I was asleep, someone had pushed me and said it was 12. Will you not sit for meditation? I immediately got up, although I was a little sleepy. I thought that Swami Turyananda had awoken me, but he informed me that he had not. I quickly washed my face and sat for meditation. I saw a saint repeating his mantra silently in front of me. I was a little frightened when I saw him. As I repeated my mantra, I looked at him from time to time. As long as I was seated on my carpet, I saw him standing, repeating his mantra. Later, I used to see him daily repeating his mantra in the same way. Patanjali said, "One becomes established in God consciousness when practice has been cultivated for a long time, with faith and devotion. Controlling the mind does not come in a day, but with long and sustained practice. One needs patience to enter the inner spiritual world through Japa. Suppose that a man enters a house in darkness. He sees darkness all around him, except for a distant light from the street. After a while, he gradually begins to see the different items in the house. Similarly, the darkness of the heart is lighted by Japa and meditation. Then one gets joy." The great saint Tulsidas said, "As a lamp placed at the threshold of a room lights both the inside and outside of the room, so chanting the name of Rama or Krishna illuminates us inside and outside." Spiritual disciplines become easy and joyful when we love God. Without this love, it is as tasteless as a curry without salt. We love to hear the names of our loved ones. Loving relationships bring much joy and satisfaction to us. We establish a relationship with God in the same way we establish human relationships. Rupa Goswami wrote in his book, "There is much nectar in the two-syllabled word, Krishna. I am not content with chanting his name with only one mouth. I wish I had 1,000,000 mouths to chant his sweet name, or 1,000,000 ears to hear his name. When his name vibrates in my mind, all my senses are overpowered, and I am absorbed in his thought." Akshay Sen wrote about Sri Ramakrishna's instruction concerning the divine name. The human mind is occupied by worldly thoughts that are transitory. To purify the mind, one should continually repeat God's name with faith. God dwells in his name. The master taught through example. He would chant God's name in the morning and even clapping his hands so that the devotees can learn to do the same. He would become so intoxicated that his chanting led him to samadhi. The master proved that God realization can be attained by chanting God's name sincerely. When we enter a perfume shop, we automatically smell the beautiful fragrance, whether we like it or not. We cannot stop it. Sri Ramakrishna's holy company and the practice of repeating God's name is enchanting and inspiring. We immediately feel the fragrance of God's divine love and cultivate yearning for God. With a glance into this practice of japa and love for God, delusion and infatuation are removed and our minds become transformed. Through the Master's life and his message, we find that God is not a myth. He is with us and around us. The Master makes God realization simple and easily accessible. His visions and samadhi are so vivid that when we see the photo of his smiling face in meditation, our hearts are filled with hope, joy, and tranquility. The Master's descriptions of his own spiritual experiences penetrate our hearts, clear our doubts and confusions, and make us yearn for God. May the Master's life and teachings always encourage and guide us in our quest for spiritual realization. Jai Shri Ramakrishna.
सुनो प्यार वीर हनुमान बाबा, तुमसे मैं विनती करो।
सुनो प्यार वीर हनुमान बाबा, तुमसे मैं विनती करो।
हनुमान बाबा हनुमंत बाबा तुमसे मैं विनती करो।
हनुमंत बाबा तुमसे मैं विनती करो।
सुनो प्यारे वीर हनुमान बाबा तुमसे मैं विनती करो।
सुनो प्यारे वीर हनुमान बाबा तुमसे मैं विनती करो।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निदान।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निधान।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निदान।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निधान।
सद्धर्मचारी सद्ब्रह्मचारी
महावीर बजरंग बली।
राम पुजारी परम उपकारी
महावीर बजरंग बली।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निदान।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निधान।
ज्ञान गुण सागर रूप उजागर
महावीर बजरंग बली।
मंगल मूर्ति मारुति नंदन
महावीर बजरंग बली।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निदान।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निधान।
अंजनी नंदन असुर निकंदन
महावीर बजरंग बली।
जय रणधीरा जय रण रोरा
महावीर बजरंग बली।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निदान।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निधान।
जय फल भीमा जय फल धामा
महावीर बजरंग बली।
केसरी नंदन कलिमल भंजन
महावीर बजरंग बली।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निदान।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निधान।
जय फल भीमा जय फल धामा
महावीर बजरंग बली।
केसरी नंदन कलिमल भंजन
महावीर बजरंग बली।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निदान।
जय सिया राम जय जय हनुमान संकट मोचन कृपा निधान।
श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो।
श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते
चलो। श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो।
श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो।
श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो।
श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो
चलो
श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो, हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो।
श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो, हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो।
श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो, हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते
चलो। श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो, हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो।
श्री राम का नाम बढ़ाते चलो, हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो।
हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो,
हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो।
हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो,
हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो।
हनुमान का झंडा उड़ाते चलो। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण
भगवान की जय।
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, 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 कौशल्या के प्यारे दशरथ राज दुलारे राम, मंगल भवन अमंगल हारी, उमा सहित जय जपत पुरारी। श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम। मोर प्रभु तुम गुरु पितु माता, जाऊ कहाँ तजी पद चल जाता। अब प्रभु कृपा करो मेरी बाती, सबत जी भजन करो दिन राति। श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम। जय जय हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करो गुरुदेव की नाई। मंगल मूर्ति मारुति नंदन, सकल अमंगल मूल निकंदन। श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम। सिया राम में सब जग जानी, करहु प्रणाम जोरि जुग पानी। उमा कहो मैं अनुभव अपना, सत हरि भजन जगत सब सपना। श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम। दशरथ राज दुलारे राम, हम सब के रखवारे राम। श्री राम जय जय राम, 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 श्री राम जय राम। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय।
Om Namo Narayanaya, dear sisters and brothers. Let us sit calmly and concentrate our minds on God seated in our hearts. Sri Ramakrishna says, many are the names of God and infinite are the forms through which he may be revered. In whatever name and form you worship him, through that you will realize him. May God bless us with devotion and knowledge so that we can live in harmony and peace and increase our devotion to him. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ॐ तत्सत् जय श्री गुरु महाराज की जय महामाई की जय स्वामी जी महाराज की जय गंगा मात की जय महावीर स्वामी जी की जय सर्व ऋषि मुनियों की जय पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव की